Yeah, hi all. So welcome to another episode of my mock interviews with Ankit Jain. So this is me, Ankit Jain. So I'm a technical architect at MNC. I'm waiting certified. I'm active in Salesforce events. This is my LinkedIn URL. This is the QR code for that. So you can feel free to connect with me. And to be updated about my future sessions, either follow me on LinkedIn or you can also join the WhatsApp group. This is the QR code for that. After sending a request, you will have to message me as well, like message the admin around like what is your name and what do you do and what is your relevance to Salesforce, or either you can just send the LinkedIn URL profile URL as well. So that helps us identify like which are the users who are actually genuine and needs to be added in the queue. We want to avoid spamming, so that's why we take care of the security of the people. So if you want to have a one-to-one session with me, you can book it on TopMeet as well. So today we'll be covering the integration question answers. So yeah, so today we'll be covering the Salesforce integration question answers. So we'll just get started with the different questions. So for the first time, like what are the questions that we'll be covering in the sessions in interview question answers? We'll be just putting, I will just putting those questions in the slide as well, so that our participants can see the questions as well, so they are on the same page. So first of all, like what are the integration patterns in Salesforce? So in Salesforce, there are multiple integration patterns. The very basic is request and reply. So request and reply is like in your custom controller, you write the http.send and you send that request. So the response should come in near real time. User would remain blocked or he would have to wait until the response comes back. So this is your request and reply. Second is fire and forget. Fire and forget is like you have a feature method in that you do the call out. So now like the Salesforce will wait till 60 seconds and it would wait for the response. So the user is not blocked and that asynchronous operation would continue in the background without hampering the experience of the user. So this is your fire and forget. Third is a UI update based on data update. So this is similar to your PubSub model. Like now you have like a streaming API, you can call it, or change data capture, you can call it. So what happens? It's like similar to like on the payment gateway side, like you get the QR code, and as soon as the payment is done, automatically that page gets refreshed. There is no manual intervention being required in. So it's kind of known as UI update based on data update. The next one is remote call-in. So sometimes we don't know like when the other system means when we should be calling the other external system. So instead of that, what we say is like let other system whenever their operation is done, let them call the Salesforce APIs. So this is your remote call-in. So normally it's also called as webhooks, something similar concept only we can say. The next integration pattern is around batch synchronization. So batch synchronization means from Salesforce, we want to move the data from Salesforce to external system like the SAP. So what a simple example would be like we have a batch class. Under batch class, we have made allow callouts equal to true. And we are sending the data from Salesforce to other system. Although it's not the best thing to do that, but if you don't have a middleware, then this is one alternative we can say, because it involves huge data volume. So that's why it's called batch data synchronization. Any questions so far?
So, batch data synchronization is bidirectional or
It's
one
like
way?
we're actually it's one way like we're considering from Salesforce to external system. For all the integration patterns, we are considering like from Salesforce to external system. Only one we have like inbound, that is remote calling. Is it clear? Outbound
Also,
call, outbound calls. We can use that. Like I see a question in the chat related to like, can we do outbound calls for payment gate systems with HTTP send? Yes, we can do that. But what needs to happen is in the other payment gateway system or another external system that provides this functionality like Stripe So you would have to have a connected app, which should enable Salesforce to and treat Salesforce request as secure. And also from the Salesforce side, you will have to either go with name credentials or you will have to go with remote site setting. That I will be explaining in a while. So for there is a question from one participant around like example of a practical example of fire and forget pattern where it can be used. So assume like there is a case we created from a public website like through Web2 case maybe, and we are receiving the case with the attachments. And we don't want to store that in Salesforce, and we want to store it in external systems such as AWS S3. So here what we can do is like, see, our end customer doesn't have to wait when that file is uploaded to AWS S3, then till that he should remain blocked. So what we can do is like, we can create a future method, and that in that future method, we can do the call out to the AWS S3 and upload our file in there. And then we can update the status in Salesforce, and we can update the entire URL of the storage path into our Salesforce in the case record maybe, or a related object where we are capturing like the attachments that are where that would be moved from Salesforce to AWS. Is it clear? Any the practical example that I am trying to give? So I think for the integration patterns we are done. Like, so the next is around remote site setting. So remote site setting is actually a function. I mean, it's a feature that you have to enable. And like suppose when you want to do a API call from Salesforce to any external system, what Salesforce does by default is like it won't allow you to hit any API directly from Salesforce to external system for the sake of security. So if you want to whitelist any URL that you would want to hit programmatically from Salesforce to external system, it says like you add that to a remote site setting. And then you can hit the external website through your http.send. And in the send, you can find push that request and all of that. Is it clear? Remote site setting? I think everybody would have some idea around remote site setting.
Yes, it's clear.
Can all of you acknowledge so that if needed, like we can discuss that. I think it seems like all are clear, so we will go to the next question around what are name credentials. So name credentials are kind of an enhancement over your remote site setting. In your name credentials, what you can do is you can specify the endpoint. You can also configure like the authentication mechanism, like whether you want it to be auth or you want to have it as a name principal, or there are some other options as well. So here what happens is your username and password are kind of hidden, like only the person with the view setup would be able to see this name credentials, and even then like original credentials nobody would be able to get because it's the only person who had set those up would be able to see the values. And now in the Apex, when you're doing the call out, we can directly use the name credential. Like when we are doing like http dot send, we can just pass in that call out colon and your name credential name. So and also it generates the authentication header as well if we check that checkbox. Security wise, we should always prefer name credential over remote site setting because it is assumed like if you're utilizing remote site setting, then you would have to use a hard code the username password or any client ID client secret in the custom setting. But that would be visible as it is. So the better way would be to hide it using name credential. I hope I'm clear or any other questions from anyone. For the sake of convenience, like if anybody wants, I can show the name credentials in the org as well. If you need, then I will just show one. so that high level idea is people are able to get through. Like here, if anybody sees this name credential, my screen is visible, I assume. Now, if I try to enter the credentials, I won't be seeing the actual username or password. What I can do is like I can just update it to whatever the new value is. See, what is written, even I can't read that. What is the password? Only the public information like the username is available. So this is any type is anonymous per user or name credential. And we can here select the different authentication protocols like OAuth or AWS or JWT. And here this authentication authorization header that I was talking about. So this is your name credential. Very much powerful. Okay. So now we'll go to the next question. It's around like the different types of, sorry, what is a connected app? So connected app is actually a mechanism with which your external system understands like if someone is trying to connect with it, it's kind of secure. Like suppose you are trying to hit the AWS APIs. So you should have a connected app in the AWS so that if when Salesforce hits that one, Salesforce AWS knows like the connection is secure from AWS. Salesforce knows AWS knows like the connection from Salesforce is secure. So for doing that, like under the connected app as well, there are multiple mechanisms that you can go for. Like you have like the different auth mechanisms. I will just open one second, app manager. Either you could means under author as well, there are multiple authentication flows, like which we will talk about in a few minutes. So here I mentioned the connected app name, logo, where means whether we want to enable auth, what is the scope we want to give. Scope defines what level of permissions you would want to give to your user. Web server flow is like when you log in like through Trailhead, like it asks you to log in with say Salesforce. So whatever in the URL that you see or the pop you see, you want to allow using Salesforce credentials for Trailhead, and these details come from the authorization server. So this is a web server flow. We'll go over like in a while, but this is like at the high level. This is the connected app. Next, what are type of APIs? APIs are actually the mechanisms with which there can be connection between multiple systems. So in Salesforce has given multiple APIs. Like one is your REST, one is your SOAP. These are the like very high level. Apart from that, there are other sets of APIs as well, like we have the metadata API, we have the bulk API, we also have like the streaming API. Originally there are multiple APIs like the REST, SOAP, Nulltext, UI API, GraphQL, tooling API, bulk API, metadata API, PubSub API. PubSub API is like a streaming API. So here, like in the REST API, like directly the connect REST API, again it's there. REST API like directly like through your custom REST, like whatever you do. So that's Apex REST. And the regular REST is like you hit like from the http.send, like you have some APIs exposed, like for the animal, the Heroku, there's API that is already configured in. Suppose in the sales from the Salesforce, like you want to expose a standard REST API, so we have the standard REST API as well. So good article around that is this. So the object like account here like this is your standard API that is available. So you just hit that with this body and automatically the records will get created. So this is your REST API. For SOAP API, like it's like you have the web service that's created in, and then you export that as your WSDL file. Connect REST API is a specific variation of your REST API, which deals with mostly photographs. Apex REST API is like you have a REST class like at the rate REST resource which annotated, and then you have the HTTP get, post, and all of those annotations that are available in. So the other system, external system, hits those Apex classes and sends them the data. So that is your Apex REST API. Apex SOAP API is around your the web services that are there, and like they just call the means when it's exported to WSDL file, it calls the Apex methods and gives them the response. Analytics REST API is mostly to do with the CRM analytics. User interface APIs are your UI APIs. GraphQL, it's the latest one of the latest features. So which enables like sending multiple data in whatever format you want. Like it has the power to change the format. Like it won't be always the key value. You can even have inner loops or whatever format you want. It's very powerful. Tooling API we normally use to get more information about the objects. Like suppose a kind of describe call we want to do. So under that we use the tooling API. Bulk API like for bulk data operations. Metadata API for deployment we use that. PubSub API is like for publishing such publish subscriber model. So this article tells you about more on that. So I will just paste that in the chat as well so that our audience can also see that. I hope that is clear, right?
Yes, Sanjay.
So auth mechanism is open authentication. So what it does is like it sets a set of protocols through which all the other systems knows like the other system is secure for them. So that is your auth, which stands for open authentication. Normally it's like a client ID, client secret kind of a mechanism. So what are the different, the next question is around like what are the auth 2.0 flows that are available in Salesforce? So you have multiple flows, like you have the web server flow. Web server flow is like similar to like how we do like login with another system, like login through when we are accessing Salesforce login with Google, and then it asks you like it opens a pop-up like are you willing to allow the other system to act on its behalf? So this acting on the means bring an action on behalf of another user. It's known as your open authentication. Like you're giving the power for the system to do the actions on behalf of you. It's a good example for that as well. I will give me 1 second. I will just open that example recording. So this is kind of screen like you get. So this is your web server flow. So the authorization servers logo and details would come in, and then these are the scopes that are therein. So this is an example of your web server flow. The same, a similar screen would be therein for your user agent flow as well. The only difference between the web server flow and your user agent flow is in the web server flow, the access token is stored in your desktop, which is much more secure, and the authorization token is being returned. And for the user agent flow, the authorization token is being returned instead of the authorization code. Other than that, it's almost similar. See, authorization code, the response type is equal to code in this scenario. Look at this URL. See, response type equal to code. That is the indication like whether what kind of auth mechanism it is. So user agent flow, it's like token is being returned. Response type equal to token. Other than that, exactly it works the same way. See, either response type equal to token, and in previous one it's like response type equal to code. Other than that, exactly it works the same way. Here the problem is like the token that is being returned, it's stored in a mobile device, so that is less secure. The next mechanism is your JWT token. It's like for server to server integrations where there's no user intervention being involved. The users are pre-authorized, and there's a token that's generated from your Salesforce, and then it's encrypted through your public key. Then uh, it's encrypted through your private key, and then a signed certificate is sent from Salesforce to another external system. So what external system does is like it decrypts that using the public key, and then authorizes the CSN certificate. And since the connection is already pre-authorized, like the connected app is already, we have set the setting to the user pre-authorized, so there's no user intervention that comes in. Directly the integration happens. It's the most secure, and wherever you don't want any user intervention, you go with that. Apart from these three, there are other mechanisms as well, like asset flow is also there, and device token flow, token flow is also there, and device token flow is also there, and which are most related to IoT devices. So, which we might be covering maybe in future sessions. In the interest of the time, we'll go over the other items as of now. The next is what is change data capture. So in Salesforce, like we have a mechanism, like if we want, when a particular item is changed, we want to send this information to another external system so that it can subscribe. Like suppose whenever a contact is being updated, we want like in the other system, like say AWS as well, like the particular data should be updated. So what we do is like in the Salesforce, we enable the change data capture. So whenever anything changes, a change event is being captured, and it is the other system, like the AWS or any extra system, can subscribe to that. Next is what is platform event. So platform event is also similar to change data capture, but the platform events you can control, like when you want to publish that event. So you have much more control over that. And change data capture, like you were to enable explicitly platform events, you can publish anytime you want. Like whether you want to do it via flow, you want to do it via trigger. You have both the options. You even have the platform event triggered flow as well explicitly. So these are like few of the integration questions that we were able to go through now. there's a lot of questions that are available, and there's a much more explanation that can be covered related to the Auth 2.0 authorization flows. But in the interest time, we have to cut it short.